Hey guys, this is David, and this is my quick thought for today. And listen, it comes from a question that I answered probably about a week or two ago, and I just wanted to provide some additional context on what I had actually answered in the question. And really the question is, how do I get the most out of my one-on-one question? And I'm going to give you the answer that I actually shared with the poster. And this is actually a question I got from Twitter user at Custom Poker Chip. Now, this actual user, we'd never been connected before, but about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Gary Vaynerchuk had actually did a little hashtag game that he played, which was essentially hashtag AskGaryVee, which is essentially, he put it out into his Twitter followers that just said, hey, I'm going to pick somebody within my Twitter followers that I'm going to take 5 minutes and answer questions for you. Do you want it to be you? And you know, a number of people responded, me included. And when I noticed it, it was like, okay, you know what? There's probably hundreds or thousands of his followers that are actually going to be responding to this, saying, hey, pick me, pick me. And when you look at it, one person was going to win, and everybody else wasn't going to, me included. So what I basically did, I said, well, okay, let's flip this on the other side. And what I'm going to do is, hey, guy, and I just basically put the response out into that same hashtag saying, listen, guys, if you're not the one that wins, so if you're one of the others that did not win, tell you what, you just ask your question and I'll try to answer it too. You know, and I said, and I'll make the deal. As many of you that do it, I'll try to respond. And I may blow myself up and create something I can't fix, but I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. Interestingly enough, at Custom Poker Chip actually asked the question, laughed about it, said, hey, this is kind of cool. And the thing about it was the actual user behind at Custom Poker Chip, they had actually decided that they were going to go to 4Ds anyway, which is one of GaryVee's actual programs that he does. And the kind of the idea behind it was, hey, I've listened to GaryVee a lot. I listen so much that I actually think I know the answers to all the questions that he says, because as GaryVee says, you know, he says a lot of the same stuff over and over again, and said, since I know the answer to every question, and their question really was to me is, how do I get the most out of my one-on-one session? And this is actually the answer that I gave them. And one was, hey, you know what? You need to ask a 2-part question. Part number 1 needs to be something macro about your industry. Just some kind of question, and then the second part of your question needs to be something extremely detailed about your business. Extremely specific, extremely detailed in the micro. And, you know, it may be your biggest pain in the butt, the biggest problem you have, or just the biggest knowing what you do, what's a growth strategy or hack that, you know, or just some kind of technique that you think I can use. And what I wanted to do as part of this video was provide a little bit of extra context as part of this quick thought today, a little bit of context to why I chose those 2 parts to answer that question. Number 1 is when you take the aspect of the macro. And GaryVee's involved in a lot of different industries, and this actually applies to any kind of mentor. Really, this type of question actually applies to any mentor you guys have. But in the case of GaryVee, he's involved in a lot of different industries. He has a lot of different experiences. He's owned his own companies and been an investor to other companies. Realistically, when you talk about the macro, Gary just has a knack of being able to take things that he's learned in other businesses or other industries that he's been involved in or he's actually seen from the side and relate to them and give some unique insights from a macro perspective of things that they could do. That was really the first part of the 2-part question of why I said that. The second part, which is going into the complete detailed weeds of your biggest problem or the one thing from your business perspective that you're struggling with that you need help with. And the reason that I suggested that is because, again, what you're asking is, and they're asking this of GaryVee, and they would do that in 4Ds. If you're on the Ask GaryVee show, if you're actually talking to any other mentor that you may have, when you ask this particular question, you're saying, hey, if you were in my shoes, what would you do with this situation? X, Y, and Z, right? And you're looking for that answer. And realistically, if somebody that you trust, if it's somebody that's actually a good mentor, they're going to give you their best estimate, right? Their best piece of advice of what they would do in your shoes. And you want to make that as specific as it can be, right? You've got a particular person that works for you that's a pain in the butt, or, you know, and probably they're going to tell you to fire them. Now, interestingly enough, when you ask the questions these 2 ways, and you should probably fire them. Realistically, if Gary tells you should fire somebody, you probably already knew it. But the one additional piece to this, that's kind of the benefit when you have somebody else share that idea to you. The one extra piece of cool to this is when you figure that, hey, you know what? If I don't do this, right, I took the time, I asked the question, Gary gave me this answer. And you know what? If I don't do it now, then not only am I letting myself down, but I'm kind of letting him down too, and I wasted his time. There's just that aspect of that kind of, you owe him something, or that aspect of shame if you don't do it or you don't accomplish it, that just adds that extra bit of motivation. Well, listen, guys, this is why I answered the question. This is why I answered it that way. But tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and reopen the opportunity out there. If any of you guys want to be like at Custom Poker Chip and ask me a question, I promise I'll try to get you an answer too. But listen, guys, thanks for checking out this quick thoughts, and we'll be next time.